Hello and welcome to our EV meeting. Here you can see who is presenting tonight. It's a fairly long presentation or meeting, so if you don't want to watch the whole thing or listen to it, just pick out what you want to look and listen to.
So welcome everyone. Peter Mackin with SacEVA, president of SacEVA, and this is our March meeting. And we'll just do our introductions. And okay. All right. So now
you want to talk about STEAM?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. And one thing I wanted to make an announcement, because for some reason it got left out of all the newsletters that came out recently.
You're projecting to the back of
Yeah. There's an event in Stockton on March 23rd. It's a STEAM event for a local elementary school for Stockton. They're putting on a STEAM event at the high school, Lincoln High, and we're going to have a display there of electric vehicles. I think we've got 3 lined up so far. We need a couple more. And so if anyone is interested and wants to volunteer their time, it's, like I said, Lincoln High School in Stockton. It's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's a Saturday, the 23rd. And yeah, just let me know if you're interested, if you have time and you can come on out.
And I'm George Parrott, and I have a Tesla Model 3. Basically, I'd like to reiterate and reinforce what Peter said. These opportunities to impact those kids at that level and the ones that are interested in technology and science is hugely important, because their parents may not be sort of looking at this kind of information, but if we can open the eyes of the kids will share that information at home. And this is a seed that will be planted and will grow in really exactly the way that we really want society to be changing. So, I cannot urge you strongly enough that events like these STEAM, that's, it's supposed to be science, technology, engineering, and math, but they threw in arts to be a broader curriculum. And come on, electric vehicles are beautiful. So, there's an art there. I want to take this opportunity to commend our camera person, who has more talents and contributions to this evolution than probably any 4 or 5 of the rest of us, because the article up here on the display screen is his case study of providing charging at multiple unit dwellings. One of the most important venues for us to be expanding service and impact to, because it's a huge burden and opportunity in terms of those apartment dwellers to have charging available. And, I cannot commend and recommend to you Eugene Dunlop there. Wave your hand, Eugene, for the work he's done on getting support for charging infrastructure. He's really been a yeoman for the last, 10 years that I've been involved in this. And it's just an inspiration, and seeing this work on his part, to report a really true success is inspiring. Now, Guy, can I get you to come up? This next section is yours. Guy is going to come up and go over the variety of Earth Day and Earth Month opportunities that we have for the show and tell, display, education, outreach that we're being asked to provide support for.
Hey, thank you to George for this. This is great. Great. So, George and Peter were explaining why it's so important to do what we're doing. Environment, our children, global warming, local jobs, all kinds of things. Just really outstanding. So, this group, can I ask anybody who's participated in an event in the past to raise your hand? Wow, what a committed group. Now, leave your hands up. And how many people are going to help out in the next month? I love it. I love it. Okay, we're done. I don't even need to present anything. We're done. Okay, so there we go. This year, 2018, 60 events that were put on by those guys that are in the room and others. Phenomenal. I can't think of any other chapter that does that level of events. We talked to over 1,000 people, one-on-one conversations, 1,000 people. And worked with partnerships are so key to this. SMUD, Cool Davis, others, and we're doing more this year. So, first of all, can you hear me okay? Am I talking loud enough? Yeah. Yep. Good. All right. This is another way to look at last April. Each of these items is an event that we did in April. Now, fortunately, most of those these were partnerships. So, a hosting organization for an Earth Day carries on the bulk of the work, and all we do mostly is just to bring our cars. And it's sometimes a little bit more than that, but we scale them anywhere from, from an event that just got one person and one car to, I think we had some as much as 35 last year. So, and it makes a difference. Look at this graph of the sales. This is the Sacramento region. All right? You think you're contributing to some of that, to the sales and the marketing? Boy, I'll bet you are. Absolutely. So it's important what we're doing, and we are having impact. We're making a difference, and that's just so critical. That's why we keep coming out. 21,000 electric cars in our region. As you drive along, you start seeing them pull up next to you and such. About 500 a month. Tesla Model 3s are a big part of that. I'm expecting the Nissan Leaf for the new 220-mile range to be picking up the pace there too. So, on a national level, Electric Auto Association, the Sierra Club, and Plug in America have come together to do what we call Drive Electric Earth Day. A little bit of a lie. I mean, it's really Earth Month. I mean, because we're doing events throughout the month. But the idea is to replicate what we're doing here across the country. So you can see each one of these circles, dots, is an organization that is going to team up with some other environmental group, business for their employees, municipal government, environmental organization, but where they put on an Earth Day event and they repeat our idea of coming out and bringing some cars and showing and educating the community about it. The nice thing about this is when we've had when we've had electric vehicle events, the people that come to those events are those people that generally want to find out. That's good. It's a good thing. But what about all the people that weren't thinking about it? So the idea is that at the Earth Day events, we're getting kind of a demographic that's good, that's kind of would be interested, and we're getting all the people that didn't necessarily think about getting an electric car before. But you guys are going to change all of that, right? Yep. All right, so here's just some of the events that are coming up next month that we're participating everywhere from a parade, and Katrina there has helped leading that work, to the Earth Day event in down in the Southside Park. One of the things I want to point out with these events, these aren't just, they're more than just going out and communicating to the public about EVs and showing your car and showing your experience. You also have the ability to go ahead and enjoy the event itself, especially with families. You know, you've got an opportunity here to, some of these events have got a lot of kid-friendly activities. One we had, some we've had have been a bounce house. So you can spend part of the time educating the community, evangelizing. The other part of the time with your family or friends to go out and look around the rest of the event. So it's more than just advocating and promoting. It's also a way to have a good time. And we try to work hard for that. And we make sure that we're going to keep you hydrated and provide food. So this one is kind of fun. If you have your own kids or neighbor kids, touch a truck. The kids will be able to go up and touch all these class 3, 4, these big vehicles and see what a lift truck looks like. And we'll be bringing some electric cars there. We're crossing our fingers and still trying to see if we can get an electric school bus. All right, so a lot of interesting activities here, family fun. Here, that's our challenge. Now, we only have to bring 50 cars to each one of these. All right? You can do that. This group could do that. But this is a big list, and what I'm going to do is after the meeting, I've got that kind of list, and if you're interested, possibly, you don't know, but you think it might be, if we can write down your name, and I'll follow up with you, and when you check your calendar at home or someone else in the family, and I'll follow up with you on that. But I'd like to catch you as you're getting ready to leave the meeting. We'll have Wayne at the door. So, okay, Wayne, you're gonna.
You from going out.
That's right. You know your job now, Wayne. Okay, so this, and a couple I do want to point out, especially on the Picnic Day Parade. Please tie in, especially there with Katrina. Katrina, can you raise your hand and stand up just so they.
Hey y'all, hi, I'm here.
So she's also on the board of directors for SacEVA, so we appreciate what she does there. Some of these events, by the way, are workplace events. They're private only to the workplace, but our goal is to get workplace charging and get workplaces to convert over, engage also the operations people, talk about their fleets. So this is an event generally over a lunchtime, midweek. The other, Robert, where are you? Can you stand up? No, other Robert. That Robert. Can you stand up for a moment? I just want to describe every third Saturday of the month? Pardon me?
Third Saturdays of the month in Davis.
Third Saturdays of the month in Davis at the Farmers Market, which is a cool place to be. They'll bring one car up and a couple people around the car to show that car. And the car is brought right up into the pedestrian area. So it's kind of a nice way to spend part of an afternoon with that. And that's and we need people on each of those dates. So we'll be sending out email blasts after this just to look at those and let us know if you can join. And I think I've hit most of the important ones. Oh, except what Peter has already said, Saturday, please. We need to get a couple more cars this Saturday. It's pre-Earth Day, but that'll do it. And I think...
It's not this Saturday, next Saturday.
It's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday?
Yeah, 23rd.
23rd. Well, that's what I have up there, right?
Yes, yeah, you have to write.
Well,
These documents, right?
no. Where are you? Oh, I don't have, March 23rd. All right. For some reason, I had mine this one. So thank you, I get Saturday back.
Yeah, well, you did, but unfortunately, one of the volunteers now can't make it because he thought it was this Saturday.
Oh,
But we're working on it.
all right. So there you go. Any questions before I march out of here and yield the floor?
What
All right.
we'll do is, after all of the presentations, 7 o'clock, we'll bring this back up so everybody can see this set of dates
And also,
reconsider where they're available.
I also have it on a sheet of paper back at the sign-ups as well.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And you're okay with the one box?
I'm glad I didn't have to be after you.
Find your slides.
Okay,
You didn't hear that.
sorry.
So, Guy,
Yes.
you're okay with warm bodies even if they don't bring their car?
Absolutely. In fact, this year we've got a challenge. We can't have half of the static displays to be Model 3s. All right? We're going to have to trim some of those back, but still come in and talk about it. The second, you know where I talked about going out and enjoying the rest of the event? Well, we want to let someone else come in and talk about your car, that they know about it, while you're off being able to enjoy yourself. So that's deliberate. Yes?
Question, why are you trading down a Model 3?
Just because there's so many Model 3s. We're definitely going to make sure we have always a Model 3 there because it's a big attraction. Everybody's interested in it, but we don't need 5 at a 6-car event.
Yeah, one thing too, I just want to kind of emphasize.
Louder, you're yelling it back.
I am. Yeah. So just in addition to what Guy said about Model 3, it's actually that applies to Teslas because we typically get more Teslas than anything else at these events, and we really need other EVs, like Sparks, Leafs, Bolts, just to show the different EVs that are out there, so that people don't think, well, the only EV that's available is a Tesla.
Right. And we want to make sure we cover the range of vehicles like SUVs, minivans, the other
Right.
other cars that are
Right.
out there besides just the.
Yeah, once we start getting hybrid trucks, we'll bring those out too. Okay. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Janelle, that's just for the
Yep,
camera.
I'm on it. I tend to project a lot, yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle London. I'm with a nonprofit called Coltura, which is working to phase out gasoline vehicles. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about driving the no gasoline movement. Okay, where do I point this?
I have a question.
Yes, already? Okay.
I have seizures. I'm 31 years old. I'll never be able to drive probably a day of my life. And I was wondering if these have anything to help me be able to maybe possibly drive before my kids.
Oh, I think autonomous vehicles might be a great option. I'm looking forward to autonomous vehicles when I'm too old to drive safely, which time seems to be approaching faster than I had realized. Okay, it's not, oh, whoops. Ah, okay, oh, there we go. Okay, so why do I do this? I just have to start with why. These are my daughters, mine and my husband's daughters, and you know, I got into this because I want them to have a fabulous future. A habitable planet. And I want all kids to have that. I want my nieces and nephews. I even want kids whose parents have political views that I disagree with. I even want them to have a good future. So that's why I do this. How many people here have some young people you care about? Cool. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to briefly define the problem. The problem is, as you guys probably know, that gasoline vehicles are the single biggest cause of both carbon emissions and air pollution in California. And although you guys are doing a great job getting EVs out there, we're really not cutting back on our use of gasoline. So we're headed kind of the wrong direction. Although we've made great advances in energy efficiency and the cars are more efficient and we've got some EVs out there, people are driving bigger cars, more miles, and so we still have this problem that's pretty serious. So we think the solution is phasing out gas vehicles, and we did not make this up. A lot of countries are already doing this. They've been announcing plans to do it anyway, and at this point about 15 countries have announced plans to phase out gas vehicles. And just to define what that means, phasing out means no one's going to come and take away your gas car, but come a certain date that's defined different ways by different countries, when you go to buy a new car, it just will not be a gas car. It will be a clean car. So why phase outs? Why is that so attractive? Well, we think that it's nice because it provides a really clear end goal that people can wrap their brains around, that ultimately we need to move completely off of gasoline vehicles. That's a goal that's pretty easy to understand and get behind. And it solves the problem. That gasoline graph I just showed you, if we're not using gasoline cars, that graph is going to head the right direction. It also provides some great market certainty for automakers, for investors, for utilities, for governments, that, hey, this is the direction we're going, and now it's safe to go ahead and invest in, for instance, different kinds of cars or massive charging infrastructure. I think it's good for our automakers in the US because it's going to help them stay competitive with automakers such as the ones in China that are already rocking this and are going to totally eat our lunch if we don't get on it. It cuts demand for drilling in sensitive areas like off our coasts and in the Arctic. And it ends up saving money. It saves money for individuals in that you're spending a lot less money on fuel, as you guys well know, less on maintenance. And so it's just, we think it has a lot of benefits. So how do you get there? Well, our focus at Coltura is two focuses. One is culture and the other is policy. So we think it's really important to change the culture around the acceptability of gasoline. And as far as the steam, we talked about, you guys were saying like, oh, they just threw art in there. Well, we think art is a great way to kind of change the culture around the acceptability of gasoline. So a lot of people will hop in their car to go to an environmental meeting into their gas car and don't think twice about it. They just don't see it as a problem. So what we want to do is make gasoline like cigarettes. You know how cigarettes used to be super cool and now they're kind of disgusting? We want it to be that when somebody comes to pick you up for a date in a gas car, you're like, oh, God, no thanks. No, I'm not doing that. That's gross. And so what we have at Coltura, we've started trying some funky like performance art things. So this is one of the first things we did in 2016. We had the ghosts of gasoline. So these are people who've died because of gasoline emissions and inhalation and have come back to haunt the earth. And we started getting some great press. This is in Seattle. And then recently at the Global Climate Action Summit, we had some Ghosts of Gasoline parade around there and strike some poses. They were like addicted. Here they are. I think this is their addiction. They're just like having a gasoline orgy. They're super addicted to gasoline. And I got to be on TV twice talking about them while they were like they were performing, and I got to give a little interview, so that was fun. Another thing we have is called the gas trap. So this is a large plastic bubble attached to the back of a gasoline car. And it looks like the gas car is running, and there's some actors inside, and the whole thing starts to fill up with smoke, and they are reacting to that. It's actually, just so you know, it's like disco dance smoke. It's not harmful smoke. But people who walk by and see this think, oh my God, and they often ask, are they going to be okay? And we go, yeah, are they? Are they? Because this is a microcosm of our atmosphere, and we're helping them to see in kind of a fun way that, hey, it doesn't just go away, it's a real problem. And then we invite them to go in there, and some people will not go in there, which probably leaves them thinking. We also came up with what we think is the first anti-gasoline song, which we're going to play for you at the end of this session. And I don't know if you guys you probably heard the big news today. It was the biggest news that everyone's talking about. I know you guys have been thinking about it all day, right? It's the next James Bond movie is going to have an electric car. Yeah, so this is the kind of culture change we're talking about. When you see it in James Bond, suddenly electric cars are cool, and people are going to want them. So it's supposed to be an Aston Martin, which there's only 155 of them. They go for 250,000 pounds or whatever, but still. And then we also think it's really important to keep educating people. There's a lot of misinformation out there about gasoline, and especially about electric cars. And so this is our website, but we try to have really comprehensive facts and resources about gasoline and its harms and the benefits of moving away from it. And then the other side of the approach is policy. So we feel like, yeah, it's great to try to do the culture thing, and we hope the market will, this will be a market solution, but honestly, we don't think our planet has time to wait for the market to solve this. Plus, it's really hard to get the whole infrastructure in place if you're just waiting for the market. That just doesn't work. We need government intervention to put in the electric charging infrastructure that's going to support all this. So our approach at Coltura is to focus on states. We would focus on the federal government, but if you have not been living under a rock, you would know that right now the federal government is not a good place to focus, very unlikely to be successful. However, the state level has some promise. So I'll just give you an example. This is a map of marriage equality states in about, I think, 2012. And I don't know if you guys remember, but like state by state, marriage equality started coming along until finally it was the law of the land. So we're hoping to do that same thing with the acceptability or the phasing out of gasoline cars. So we started by putting up some op-eds saying, hey, California should phase out gasoline cars. And about a month after we published this piece, Assemblyman Phil Ting introduced a bill in 2018 that would call for phasing out gas cars by 2040 in California. So we were thrilled. As you might guess, the oil industry started training a lot of fire on that. They did not like it one bit. Perpetuated some misinformation about all electric cars would be the size of a Fiat 500e and cost as much as a Tesla, and it would be impossible, and blah blah blah. So that bill did not end up moving forward. But this year, Assemblyman Ting has introduced another bill that will draw less fire. Probably it's kind of a different approach. It just requires the Air Resources Board to do a study of what would it take to be able to phase out gasoline vehicles by 2040. So we are hopeful that that will pass, and then we'll be able to kind of write the plan, have them write the plan for how that's going to work, and then go ahead and implement that plan.
So by 2040?
Yeah, or sooner. I mean, California is known for getting things done ahead of schedule. We were going to clean our electricity, and then we started going faster and faster. Yes?
Yeah, there's a PR campaign that you may have noticed on television by the Petroleum Workers Union. I don't know the exact name of it, but it's been on over and over again. And kind of wonder, why is the oil industry spending so much money talking about the benefits of the oil industry in California? And I'm thinking it could be
I wonder.
peppering the population against gas tax against phasing out of gasoline cars. I don't know if you've seen it, but.
Oh yeah, I mean this is bad news for the oil industry. They are going to hate this so bad. Yeah. Okay, and so a coalition formed to support this kind of legislation, and Catherine Garcia is here. She's a very instrumental part of it, and so it's called the Yes Clean Cars Coalition, and so we're working to continue to push for this sort of policies. In Washington, I'll just tell you, that's where I've been lately. Last week I was in Seattle, so I know we're in California, but I'll just tell you that we're excited about something happening there, which is, have you guys heard of the ZEV mandate? How many people have heard of the ZEV mandate? So it's a requirement in California that automakers, so the burden's on automakers, they have to sell a certain percentage of electric cars in California, or else they have to pay a fine or buy credits from someone else. So there's 9 other states that follow California's mandate, and they represent about 30% of all cars. Well, we want Washington State to join it. That will, right now, a lot of electric vehicles are only available in the ZEV mandate states because the automakers have to sell them, right? And so they're just like in Washington, for instance, you cannot get some of the electric vehicles that we have easy access to. So we're pushing for that. It already passed the Senate. We're hoping it's going to pass the House. So that's very exciting. These are the current ZEV states. And if you remember that marriage equality map, you'll see that a lot of the states are similar. Yeah, so our hope is to just, one way to get this is lots and lots of ZEV states. That 2.5% number goes up every year, and it gets to about 8% by 2025. And after that, it may even keep going up further, we hope. And so what's next is we're working to really build out these coalitions and grow a bigger umbrella of support for the idea of phasing out gasoline vehicles. So how can you guys help? You guys are walking billboards by driving EVs. That's great. I have over on the table a stack of magnets that say, why pollute? Demand electric. That you're welcome to take. So keep doing what you guys are doing all those great EV events. Supporting state and local actions. You can go to your city council, like where I come from in Menlo Park. We passed an ordinance that says that all new buildings have to include charging infrastructure. In fact, it's kind of crazy, but it's like in apartments, it's 1 per unit. So we're really getting ready for that EV revolution. So you guys can do that. And then art. So you guys can create art too. You can do crazy things with your EVs. You can do whatever you want. There's lots of opportunities to be creative around getting people to get excited about electric vehicles. Obviously, every conversation you guys have helps. And if you want to like and share Coltura's social media, we're always putting out stuff about electric vehicles. So follow us on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. That would be helpful too. All right. So, and then that's our Take Action tab. So if you really think like, oh gosh, I want to take more action, we have a whole bunch of things you can do, a lot of them from the comfort of your home. So feel free to go check that out. Yes?
Can you tell us more about the whole cultural kind of background for Coltura?
The cultural background.
Yeah, in other words, how did that group get organized? Broadly.
Where's your funding come from?
Yeah.
Our funding currently comes from our board and from private donations. So we are not beholden to any for-profit anything. We would like more money. So, but that's how that goes. And our culture, I'm sorry, explain again?
Well, I mean, how did it get organized? Who's the leader?
Yeah. Okay. So Matthew Metz up in Seattle started it, and like me, he has kids and he has a daughter, and he wanted her to have a happier future. We both happen to be recovering attorneys who felt like we needed to do something to give back to the world. So that's kind of how it started, and it seems to be going well. All right. Anyway, so that's our Take Action page, which we have lots of things you can do, like write automakers and keep asking for more and more, like when is that electric truck coming? I personally like to go on Facebook. I follow every single automaker's page, and whenever they post anything, I write a little comment, when is that coming out in electric? I'm done with gasoline. And sometimes I've had very nasty comments directed back at me, but other times people have asked questions and I've been able to educate them with facts. Yes.
No
Oh, I like that.
Is your organization doing any educational outreach to the public pension funds like CalPERS, CalSTRS, WAPRs, which all have substantial investments in petroleum, to more educate them as to the riskiness of those investments and that they do not meet their fiscal mandate for protecting their beneficiaries.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, we have not done that yet.
There's a meeting of the CalPERS Investment Committee next week. That's
Oh,
very important.
okay. Oh, great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Can you repeat that information for your mic?
CalPERG, CalPERS, those sorts of groups, the importance of educating them about their investments in oil and how those might not be great investments. Is there anything else? Yeah.
In fact, actually, we're doing a demonstration at CalPERS.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, thanks very much for mentioning the SET program, which of course is very, very important, and also talking about the national versus the state level. And to me, it seems that one thing that's really, really important at this point is to help support the ZEV states, in particular California, to be able to proceed in the face of some of these federal efforts. So I'm wondering, you're couching in terms of, say, federal versus, going at the state level versus federal, but are you working on that, just the interaction, the ability of California to proceed and other ZEV states to proceed?
So defending the fact that California's waiver and ability to even have this ZEV mandate is currently being challenged? Yes. So that current mandate is being challenged by the administration, but automakers are not even supporting that. They don't want it because it's just going to go straight to litigation, and then there's going to be mass uncertainty. And one thing automakers can handle and they really want is certainty, right? They're going to make this work. If there were a law that required them to go all electric and only sell electric, say by 2030, they could totally do that. And in fact, they'd probably breathe a sigh of relief. They would know that all their cars will sell and they just have to hunker down. They'd know exactly where to put their investment and they could totally do it. What makes them crazy is uncertainty. So it's our hope that automakers will say, you thought we asked for this, we actually did not, please don't do it, please back off, and the administration will not try to take away that waiver.
And more specifically, you have ways of, say, buying grassroots support to be in contact with the key people at the federal level.
Yes, and in fact, there was a bill introduced by Senator Merkley of Oregon in December that would phase out all vehicles across the country, a federal bill, by 2040. It was kind of introduced like right at the end of the session, the legislative session, so it didn't go anywhere, and we're hoping that it will either be part of the Green New Deal and or be reintroduced as a separate bill. But I don't know if you guys talk to people about electric vehicles, but a lot of people have still a very knee-jerk reaction, right? Like, oh my God, that's impossible. What are you talking about? There's no way. Or if you play on Facebook like I do, you see lots of people who just tell you you are crazy because that is never, ever going to work. So we're still working to control that narrative and help people understand not only is it going to work, but it has to work. And by the way, this is an easy lift. This is the low-hanging fruit, environmentally speaking. We already have the technology. It's not that hard.
Just a couple more questions.
Okay.
The future that I see is sharing mobility, actually, transportation as a service. I mean, if we all want a car, we're fixing part of the problem.
Right.
Car ownership is part of the big problem. You're still, consuming resources out there.
Yeah.
Vehicles. I think the secret is in public transportation and ownership. If we really want to fix the problem,
Yeah.
we need to phase out car ownership as much as we can. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It's going to take decades, generations, probably. But I think that shared mobility, car sharing, is the secret.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
And autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Demand transportation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also think that.
For your mic?
Oh, sorry, what?
Repeat the point
Oh,
for your mic.
that ultimately, if we want to solve the problem in general, which includes congestion and equity and all sorts of things like that, we need to have shared mobility. We can't just have millions and millions of people still driving, but they're driving electric cars. That only solves one part of an overall problem that we could really approach more broadly. And I completely agree. In fact, we're looking at the transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft and working to figure out how we can make sure that their miles are electric miles. They drive way more miles than you or I or anyone else. And so trying to make sure those miles are electric is also a direction we're headed.
I'm working with them.
Okay, wait.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm getting timed out.
Yep.
And I wanted to play the song.
Love affair with gasoline and Doreen cars, forcing drivers, bandits, gas-powered, no matter where you live, gasoline prices are going up.
You took me for a ride and now we're lost. I'm choking on your pollution trip.
You're making me cough, you're turning me off. I'm breaking this relationship.
Gasoline, gasoline, you're driving me insane. Gasoline, gasoline, the world's aflame. Gasoline, gasoline,
I found someone new, someone better.
better than you. We had a good run, but now we're done. You're poisoning our atmosphere.
You don't even care, pumping dirt in our air, leading us on, the end is near.
You fossil fool, I reject your rules.
We gotta leave you in the ground. I'm out of the door, with my foot to the floor. We gotta leave you in the ground.
Gasoline, gasoline, you're driving me insane. Gasoline, gasoline,
The world's aflame.
gasoline, gasoline. I found someone new, someone better.
Better than you.
Sea levels are rising.
Polar bears are dying.
Our children are crying.
Around the world, countries are racing to phase out gasoline cars.
Gotta go quick, electric. Change the way we move around.
Are driving to electric.
Gotta go quick, electric. Change the way we move around.
I got a new love, an electric flame.
With free city charging and VIP parking. Zooming past you in the HOV lane.
I'm clean and green and my love is sparking. Gasoline, gasoline,
I got a new dream.
gasoline, gasoline. I'm going green. Gasoline, gasoline. I found someone new,
And I'm leaving.
leaving you.
Thank you all. All right, hope I did not run over.
Thank you for having us here. This is, I'm from Freewire. My name's Ethan Sprague. And can everyone hear me all right? All right, give me a second to get the mic clipped on. My personal story and how I got into what I'm doing is I bought a Volkswagen Golf TDI because I thought it was a really clean car. And my daughter has asthma. And I thought, what better thing I could do? And I teased my wife with her Highlander and her 14 miles per gallon until the news came out that I'm actually polluting more than she was. So I went in and I got a personalized license plate. I got DOS Liar. And I drove my Golf around for 2 years until I thought the tax rebate might get ended, and I traded it in for a Bolt. And now I am very happily converting my wife and my daughter into electric vehicles. They weren't very interested in them. And I happened to join a company called Freewire, which is really working at one of the points Janelle was focused on, which was how to fix the infrastructure problem. And that's what we're doing here. And this is one of our products here that's got SMUD branding on it that SMUD owns. And we're providing charging out front or back. We'll be happy to charge your vehicles after while you ask questions. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our company and what we're trying to do. But I first want to ask, how many of you have come to a fixed charger that's attached and seen a vehicle that's completely charged or an ICE vehicle in it. Yeah, so one of the frailties of fixed infrastructure is it can be captured by the vehicle. It's not a good use case to create electricity outlets everywhere because the vehicles can capture them. How many of you have workplace charging? Do you have enough charging at your workplace, or are you running out?
Enough for now.
Enough for now. As EV adoption occurs, do you think you will run out?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you'll have to bring more electricity and invest more in the infrastructure at the edge of the grid. And I'm not sure that's the most effective solution, and that's what Freewire is really after. So founded in 2014, this picture on the left here is the grid, and the picture on the right is transportation electrification. And these are both two very old industries, and vehicles want to electrify. We want to electrify vehicles, but what they need is power. And the grid is old, and it was meant to have consistent power pushed out at a low rate and not have high power. The vehicles need high power for fast charging. And so the founder of the company thought, maybe we can use the technology that's in the vehicles to improve the power quality at the grid edge more cost effectively for a lower cost to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles. And so what we do is we provide flexible charging using these mobile and semi-permanent applications, products. And I'm going to tell you about our products. The first one here is we call the mobile charger, and it's an 80 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. It has a joystick, and you can drive it around this room. It got in here. It can literally charge just about anywhere. And then our second product that we're working on, and we actually have in the box truck out back, is called the Boost Charger, and this is a DC fast charger. So it is designed to use low power, regular power that you would have in a site up to 22 kilowatts, and it creates high voltage within the frame of the 160 kilowatt hour battery, and it provides fast charging out. So it can provide over 100 kilowatt hours within less than an hour to your vehicle. And the idea is that retail providers, gas stations, and so forth could deploy this without having to invest in a lot of infrastructure and high power in. Who knows what a forecourt is? A forecourt. A forecourt is the British name for a gas station.
Yeah, okay.
Court. All these products are grid connected, and you can sign up with your smartphone. You can download them on your app. You can find them, and you can pay for them and get vehicle charged. We even have one customer who has put one of our units in a van and is driving and doing on-demand charging in San Francisco, if you talk about the multi-unit dwelling problem. So they're all cloud connected, and there's a bunch of data, and they are smart. They effectively change the time at when the vehicle energy is needed. The grid can't handle all the demand that is going to be coming from EVs. If you pulled up to a Walmart with your friend and you both had Teslas, I know there's lots of you with Teslas here, and you plugged into a fast charger, you would take more demand, more energy demand than the entire Walmart. And that shoots the Walmart's rates up and makes it very difficult for folks to provide fast charging. So our battery systems are designed to mitigate that problem and reduce your ongoing costs. So we were doing a little petroleum bashing here, and I think that's fair. We're taking a slightly different tack than policy and culture. We're trying to give them a financial incentive to leverage their assets into an electrification future. So one of our investors is British Petroleum. That's their logo on our unit, and we got press when we deployed these units in London. And it's more than just a cute station. What these can help us do is figure out where charging demand is needed. I can roll this out and start charging in a location like today, like we are right now. A drop of the hat, no permits needed. I can recharge that with a 240 volt outlet, the same thing as a dryer uses, or a level 2 charge station. So if you are a retail business and you have a lot of locations and you want to think about providing vehicle charging, it would be a heavy investment to figure out where you could do it and whether it would be used. With our mobile units, you could test that location and generate demand without much of an investment. If you look at, this is LA County, and these dots, I don't know if you can see, the yellow dots are all the gas stations in LA County. There's effectively 2,500 locations in LA County that already are fueling vehicles. Their green dots are these gas stations which are within 1 mile of the freeway, so they're in prime location. The red dots, they have a large enough space. They have 1,500 square feet. And the blue dots, there are about 300 of them, they have a convenience store. So you could actually spend some time there while your vehicle is charging. This is just an example of the assets that are deployed in our community that we could convert and create an incentive to convert to electric charging and also drive revenue into those businesses. Do you know the main profit maker for gas stations is the convenience store or the car wash? Yeah, and the coffee. It's not very good. So what we have done is we have created an algorithm to really look at where are the best locations in the state to provide fast charging. And we looked at how many existing public charging stations there are, the number of commuters in that location, how many detached homes there are, the household income, how many registered EVs, the EV to charger ratio, the number of gas stations, and the favorable gas stations. And we did this for BP, one of our investors, to say these are the areas where you should focus on providing fast charging because the demographics are right and the demand would be there.
What's the granularity of how detailed is that? I mean, for example, in the Sacramento County.
Okay.
I can't read that.
Okay, Sacramento. So this was a presentation my boss gave in Europe, and so I've stole it for this event. And because I want to be sensitive to your needs, Marco, and those in Sacramento, I put Sacramento up here. So there's 58 counties in the state, and Sacramento, and a high ranking, when you have a high number, you would be closer to 58. So for EV density, Sacramento is 38th out of 58. So it's just on the high side. For EVs registered, it's 47th out of 58. So it has a high number of EV registered. It is growing in rebates. It's 44 out of 58. It has a fairly high number of charging stations, 43 out of 58. It's ranked 43. And the EVs per station is 45. So it has a fairly good number of stations. The ratio is good. The population density is excellent for charging. It's 53 out of 58. So you have a pretty dense population. The household income is in the middle. So the assumption there is that until vehicle prices come down, there might be slower adoption. That is somewhat mitigated by the numbers of high adoption we're seeing in rebates, the growing number of rebates. And you have a number of commuters. So Sacramento is a good location to put in fast charging in our view. It's not the top location. I think it was Alameda, Santa Clara, LA County, and those areas, but it's up, I think, probably in the top 10.
Did you look into projections, 3-5-year projections?
We did not. This was data from 2017, 2018. Yeah.
Seems to me that you should weight median household income by median house price, because what you're really looking at for EVs is discretionary income to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
And areas like this versus the Bay Area, people have more discretionary income because our housing prices are so much
Or,
less.
or less, yeah. They were, yeah.
Still a lot less.
So part of this slide deck is really a pitch to the retail operations like gas stations on, hey, there's a market opportunity for you. It's going in this direction. You have resources like forecourts out there. This is an example of one in Pasadena, where we think there's enough space that you could put in 2 or 3 fast chargers. And the key thing that I'll show you is that it matters to get there first. From a business opportunity, if you actually put the charging infrastructure in, then other people near you are going to be less likely to put it in. And what you're seeing on the left here is Manhattan. Last I looked, Manhattan had 14 fast chargers. And I think 10 of them were Teslas only. So there were 4 fast chargers for everybody else. On the no, 50 kilowatts and above, 50 kilowatt output.
And how powerful are your mobile chargers? Are they 50 or 250?
We have an ultra fast charger in the truck, which will put power out at the target is 120 kilowatts. Okay. Or if you have 2 vehicles, it'll split that, so 60 kilowatts each. These are level 2s, and so it has 11 kilowatt of output power, and we generally split that between 2 connectors. So the right is San Francisco, which has a lot more chargers. So the goal here is to, for folks owning real estate in Manhattan, you could monetize some of that real estate. There's probably a lot of ways to monetize in Manhattan, but you could do it with charging, and there's an opportunity there. Yeah, in the back.
These bikes they got here in West Sacramento, they were talking about getting them where they run off like the car.
Yeah.
Because you have to pedal them. I was talking to one guy, he said you $2 or $3. He said it's worth it. To charge it up, just take off, and then you pedal it, then it just takes off by itself.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Right there too, right in front of.
Yep.
That's an electric scooter.
So what we did with BP to get them interested in this idea and to test it out is we took one of these units, we made it charge faster, and we put it in a gas station, a forecourt in London, and we charged for 3 months. We charged a bunch of different vehicles. We saw that the amount of charge we were giving was much higher, closer to 20 kilowatt hours per charge. Actually, I have the stats here. We did 57 charging sessions. It was 15 kilowatts average per EV. 95% of the participants were willing to pay a premium for fast charging, and 40% of the participants purchased an item from the convenience store. So we basically proved out, hey guys, you can do this. It's going to make money for you. This is a picture of our fast charger. You can see this in the van. And we'd love to get your feedback on it as EV users. We're always looking to improve the products from folks who know how EVs charge and think about them. So this really concludes the prepared presentation, and I have a couple minutes left. I want to just point out that we are working with SMUD. SMUD has bought 3 of our mobile units here. They're testing them, they're branding them, and they're thinking about making them available to the community if they pass the tests. And Marco's here from SMUD, and do you want to say anything, or you can talk to folks afterwards? Or
So I just joined the electric transportation program at SMUD, so this is one of the ideas that we have, and I think there's a lot of possibilities for this. We're going to use it for our fleet.
I'm sorry, go on, speak to the mic.
So the idea is to use them for our own fleet and for workplace charging, and also to lend them out to customers out there and test how they go, and hopefully get feedback from the community and tell us, we think that you should deploy charging stations here and there, as Ethan was pointing out. And I think it's an excellent idea to deploy these units to see where charging is more efficient before SMUD puts a lot of investment in infrastructure. So those are the ideas. So it's very in the beginning now. but it's pretty much what is going to boil down to. So if you guys can provide any feedback on where you think this should be used, there are a lot of ideas already, but I'm sure there's more ideas out there. So go ahead, questions?
How about on Earth Day at Southside Park?
We can make it happen.
Repeat the question and answer, so.
How about Earth Day? Yes, we can make it happen.
I have a quick question for Freewire. So you guys have talked about where to locate these based on consumer demand. Have you at all looked at them from a grid perspective with aging assets where there might be arbitrage on a power between two different points?
Yeah, we are starting to do that. So the question was whether or not we have looked at grid capability to serve fast charging, or where there's high demand or congestion on the grid. I mean, one of the limiting factors on providing charging is if you exceed the capacity at the substation or on the feeder line, then it triggers a bunch of upgrades. And what we can do is we can basically deploy our units anywhere in the grid because they reduce the demand and they don't exceed it. Because we're using battery technology, we're really shifting demand from the time when the car pulls up to a low rate of input all the time. So we expand the area, the geographic area, and the participants, probably the number and economic diversity of the participants who could do fast charging because of the battery technology. Question in the way back.
Mark, also for Freewire, one of the concerns that we have is that none of the companies that are providing fast chargers have yet demonstrated a business model that's going to be in the black. And can you envision a business model where your cost for fast charging electricity is comparable or less than the cost per mile for gasoline?
Yeah, so essentially the question, I hope you don't mind if I paraphrase, is can you make a fast charge business model that can compete with the price of gasoline, gas parity, and make money? I think it's going to be tough until you get high penetration. So what we've done is we've reduced the installation costs and the operational costs of fast charging. And we actually can tell you the fixed costs of putting it in. One of the big uncertainties about deploying fast charging is how much is it actually going to cost? How long am I going to have to disrupt my business to put it in? And then will I have the utilization to make money? And will that utilization kill the economics because my energy prices go way up? So we've tried to address all of those factors within the model. I think what you'll see is that if you can pull other revenue, you can use it as a loss leader, that people will actually make a business model out of it because they'll be drawing customers into their store to make other purchases. The last thing I'd like to say is gas parity, it's an honorable goal, but I don't think that's the right target. I think that I never want to have to go someplace to fuel again if I don't have to. I like not having to fuel. And one of the things about EV ownership that's wonderful is that I don't have to mess with the pump and smell noxious gasoline fumes. When I go to work, I can charge. I can charge at home. And so I think that trying to say it's just as economic, the price is the same as a gallon of gas might be more pertinent to folks running fleets or who you're trying to convert from fleets. But from a consumer standpoint, the experience is just so much better that for me personally, in my own pocketbook, I would pay more than gas.
One more question or so, and then then we're going to go to informal Q&A and have the opportunity to see that truck out there while it's still daylight and warm.
Curiosity, how much does one of those cost?
This one costs $65,000, so it is more expensive.
It's like buying a Tesla.
It's basically, there's 2 Nissan Leafs in there in terms of batteries, and it's a vehicle. But what happens is if you run the model out over time, it is less expensive than putting in fixed infrastructure because if you don't have capacity, then you have to increase your capacity, so you have to do a construction project, an electrical project. And then if you count the time of moving the vehicles to the charger and then moving the vehicle away, it is actually much more efficient to bring the electricity to a parked vehicle and charge it. And if you're an employee at a company that's trying to retain you, and you're in a meeting and you're getting texts about, hey, you've got to move your vehicle because, I need it to get home, it becomes, we're seeing a lot of conflict. And we're charging at Microsoft and LinkedIn, and they have fixed chargers, and it's creating a problem. Partially because there's no place to move the vehicle once you take it off the fixed charger. So with this, the driver comes in, they drop a pin with our app about where their car is, and they go inside, and the employer has an attendant who drives the Mobi up, this is what we call them, the Mobi, and plugs them in, and the driver gets a text, your charge is complete. So it's a way better experience. It reduces the employer's energy costs because you're filling these up at night, and you're increasing your employee productivity. So if anyone knows of workplaces who have charging issues, I have cards here, and I'd urge you to refer me.
Yeah, we've got to get everybody.
Okay, so again, let me ask there's several Freewire representatives. Can I have all of you raise your hands just so you identify? So as we go into informal Q&A, feel free to basically corner them for direct inquiry.
And I'd just like to say one thing. I'd really like to thank SMUD. I think you should give SMUD a big round of applause. They're really on the forefront of this.
One of the, and again, for the information on Freewire, for feedback, one of the reasons the impact of EVs is as high in this area as it is because of SMUD. Yeah. SMUD is incredibly proactive and supportive, and
Love affair with gasoline and storing costs.
3.5, 4 miles per kilowatts. For as long as we're here and demand, I don't know if other people need.
Okay, well, I drove 4 hours to get here because of the traffic in Menlo Park. So
you drove from Menlo Park?
Yeah, and I'm a speaker, so they kind of gave me first dibs.
All right, well then you can. I understand.
Well, the boat was the correct car to drive over here.
That's right. Yeah, it made it with plenty to spare, but it won't make it all the way back.
Now, Janelle, that's really service. You have to admit.
It is service with a smile. Yes, it's pretty excellent.
But I'm going to miss hosting you.
You're getting 5.1, 5.2 kilowatts.
Great.
So basically, roughly 20 miles an hour.
Excellent. Thank you.
So it's basically like an L2 charger, a little less.
Yeah, it's an L2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Oh, I love it. It's so great. Yeah, I never have to go to a gas station. I save tons of money on gasoline. I never pay for gasoline, ever.
So we offer the split version here, and it's really easy to swap these out. If there's a market like Japan, where it's basically CHAdeMO only, we can do 2 CHAdeMOs. If in the future CCS cars are way more common, we can do dual CCS as well. It's pretty easy to mix and match on these. So we're just showing, like what the options are here.
Okay. And it has a battery pack behind?
Yes, yeah. So this is a prototype mock-up of what it'll actually look like. No batteries in this, but this exact form factor here would hold 160 kilowatt hours of battery pack, and as I was mentioning, up to 120 kilowatts of output. It can take up to 22 kilowatts AC, so utilities love us because there isn't this huge demand spike on the grid. We can just continuously draw lower voltage AC, but output crazy high DC speeds without all the construction, permitting, infrastructure, etc.
So you said the AC connects to what kind?
This could literally plug into
a 110.
That would be too slow to be useful. But
exactly.
So I think sort of the minimum that we would ever want to recharge a boost off would be 6 or 7 kilowatts. But the goal would usually be double digits, as close to 20 as possible. And the idea is that you could have it be recharging 24/7. You could tailor it so that it only charges in the middle of the night when electricity is super cheap. We can make it so that you only recharge like during the middle of the day when you've got all this excess solar output as well. We've got lots of different algorithms that you could use for how you want to recharge it. But the point is that this has the grid footprint of a level 2. It only ever takes in AC at a max of 22. but it can output at super high DC speeds.
And how, if you have two connected, how long does it take to deplete the battery?
So if you had 2 cars plugged in and it was just continuous load, it'd probably be about 3 hours. But what we usually find is that, you know, I mean, like, very few people
are doing 30 minutes here and there.
Exactly. Very few people roll in at 0% and they're trying to get to 99%. You know, most of the time you go to a Chatamo station, you've probably got 20, 30, 40%, and you're just trying to get to 80. Exactly. So far what we've seen is that most people are only actually taking in 25 kilowatt hours of juice. And given that it can basically refill that in an hour, we actually think that 22 kilowatts.
So a half hour raw refills in about an hour?
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, like, that's a worst case scenario if there's 5 cars lined up ready to swap immediately, and you know, we just don't think that's the case. And if you do get a scenario, if you have a specific site where that is the case, you put another one in, you put 3 more in. However more, you scale it as much as you need.
What's the source for your batteries?
Right now we're using Nissan cells. Yep.
They built specifically for this?
Identical to what you get in Leaf.
So they're Leaf cells, a couple of packs, or?
I mean, you know, given the size of Nissan cells nowadays,
which Leaf pack? The 24, the?
So we just get the cells. We have our own custom designed modules for this. So it's literally just cells. But so yeah, this is planned for 160 kilowatt hours. The Gen and the L2 that you see around here, we offer those in both 40 and 80 kilowatt hours.
Do you know if the Leaf cells have stayed the same from the early gens to the currents? I mean, basically
degradation-wise, or
no, like what they're making, the kind of cells they're using.
So the form factor has remained exactly the same. They've gotten slightly denser cells, so we are able to pack in more energy, given the same amount of space than we were able to even a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Now the batteries would be here.
They would all be.
So this is a separate unit.
Yes. So that right there, that's a Mobi Gen, which is mechanically identical to the level 2 out there. The difference is that instead of a pair of EVSEs on it, we've got a back panel here with multiple 240 and 110 volt outlets.
Okay.
So we're using this to power the mock-up right here. We've got these lights on here too.
Yeah.
Can we unplug that?
Right here. Right here.
Ah, that's fine.
Okay, you're using it as a light. Now, what's the output here, kilowatt on the direct current?
Up to 120.
Combined.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, but we can combine all 120 into a single port. Yeah. So we can do 120 kilowatts off CCS, or 100 off Chatamo, or if 2 cars are plugged in simultaneously, 60 of both.
So that's what more than we have now. We have 50,
Yeah, well, and the 50 ones right now, you can't share the load. So if you plug in and then a Bolt plugs in 2 minutes later, the Bolt gets 0 kilowatts until you're done. This does not do the same thing.
When I go to a EVgo right now, it measures in amps. It's not going to go up to 100 amps. How does that translate to kilowatts? DC?
Multiply it times 300, 350 to 400. So 400 times 100 would be that'd be 40,000 watts. So 40 kilowatts.
So
most of the EVgos are 50 kilowatt units max.
Yeah, like my car always maxes this as 100 amps on the screen, and then as it gets fuller, it slows down.
Yeah, voltage goes up.
But also, every one I've seen where there's 2 plugs, you can only use one of them.
You took me for a ride, and now we're lost. I'm choking on your pollution trip.
You're making me cough, you're turning me off. I'm breaking this relationship.
Gasoline, gasoline, you're driving